As my final live action TMNT in this current direction, let's open the 2016 sequel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. We open on some fairly decent shots of New York City's skyline, with Brian Tyler giving the reins of music to Steve Jablonsky, who plays some of the same music style used in his live action Transformers films. We then introduce the Turtles, who are on their way to go see New York Knicks. Most of the actors reprise their roles, with Leonardo now being voiced by Pete Plozak, his mocap actor. They also got a piece of a brief cameo from series co-creator Kevin Eastman. In this early scene, this is going to be a very silly movie as observed by the Turtles hanging out in the Jumbotron. It's also revealed that 1 year has passed since the events of the first film, where Vern, played again by Will Arnett, incredibly shows defeat and imprisonment as a cover. Elsewhere, April O'Neil, played by Megan Fox, is undercover trying to get intel back to Stockman, played by Tyler Perry. Much like Star Trek, Perry is a big fan of the series and jumped at the chance to play the part. Stockman says she can geek out, to which she replies, "I'm a nerd, not a geek." They say it's like the difference between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, or Comic Con TED Talks, or Star Wars and Star Trek, DC and Marvel, Pokemon Yokai Watch. We do this all day. Hey fellas. April continues to tail Baxter, even slipping in a more revealing outfit with no one noticing. Well, I can't vouch as a city when no one bats an eye about walking around dressed like Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Ghostbusters. There's also a brief bit about Halloween Parade, where Mikey mingles other people dressed like Bumblebee and rappers to The Wildlife by Out of Sight, which Frappy reads him about. Again, that's a place where people can walk around dressed like Batman, Superman, and Pikachu and no one seems to care. Baxter's files apparently have sales are shrugged, but April's still able to tip out the Turtles Shredder's transferred to another prison. On top of Shredder's having grown back since a year in prison, it's now played by Brian Hinty, more obviously being the role of Rokusaki than Dark and reshoots. We also get introduced to film musicians of Rocksteady, played by Shane's WWE, and Bebop, played by Gary Anthony Williams. This is also this film's version of Casey Jones, and I gotta say, I have mixed feelings towards the movie nerfed him. I don't watch Arrow, so I can only take Stephen Amell's performance on his own merits, but more on that later. The Turtles meet with Splinter before they go into Shredder in their new Turtle van, complete with Tartaruga Brothers paint job and some flame exhaust, unknown for the Batmobile. The music track during the transport is the Hollies' Long Cool Woman, a song I rather like. As Jones reads Shredder's rap sheet, Bebop and Rocksteady offer to help break him out, and Shredder's also happy to agree. Just then, the Foot also intercepts a convoy as Stockman meets with the Karai player Brittany Sibashi, again taking the reins from the last movie. Though the Turtles are able to fend off some of the Foot bikers, Shredder is transported to Technodrome by Stockman and meets Crane, voiced by Brad Garrett. While different from Pat Fraley in a TV series, Fraley approved of his casting. Naturally, Crane and Shredder form an uneasy alliance, and Crane giving Shredder a vile mutagen to help stop the common enemy in the Turtles. He also needs help rebuilding a means of bringing the Technodrome to Earth, known as the Arc Capacitor. Ah, yes. Much like the material that inspires the picture, interdimensional travel does whatever the screenwriters needed to do. Back in their lair, the Turtles are able to determine their next move, with April going to investigate further TCRI during the day while the Turtles remain active at night. Elsewhere, Shredder's escape is now being dealt with by Chief Vincent, played by Lauren Linney, and her assistant Jay, played by Jane Wu. Here, we see how Casey is less the rugged vigilante from previous incarnations and more like someone even Hayden Christensen would laugh at. He's taken off the case but chooses to keep the files anyway to investigate himself. I must say, though, that director Dave Green is definitely a big fan of the series, and that's evident even amid all the mayhem in this movie. It's a kind of absurdity that I think of while reading the comics, watching a cartoon, and playing with merchandise as a kid. He tracks Bebop and Rocksteady to their hideout in the Horseshoe Bar to interpret Dane Winter's numerous All-Star commercials. They get a pair of illegal mobile phones where Shredder recruits him for a job as muscle in Ways Than One. Back at the Turtles' lair, Splinter encourages Leo not to give up, just as Casey finds a bar and starts wrecking the place. "I'm a CW star during interrogation, and if you bought insurance from a cartoon box, you could be paying for this yourself." The barkeep gives Casey a device to trap Bebop and Rocksteady's mobiles, and we cut to Baxter's live TCRI from the comics. He helps synthesize a mutagen, which transforms Bebop and Rocksteady into a warthog and a rhino, somehow even more absurd than kidnappings from the Central Park Zoo. Like I said, what the screenwriters needed to do. April steals the mutagen, nearly avoiding the Foot Clan, meet up with both Casey and the Turtles. Casey then asks that they eat him. Silly Casey, turtles don't eat people, they eat pizza. Everyone then plans the next move back in the sewers, where Shredder goes to steal the second piece they need at Hayden Planetarium. As yet another red forms between Leo and Raph, the former was allowed to stay behind while he goes to investigate with Donnie. Also discover the mutagen can potentially humanize the turtles while Donnie figures out how to trap Bebop and Rocksteady. As an aside, I like Super Ninja controllers on Donnie's arm. Turtles in Time was a fun game in that system and in arcades. Donatello determines what the artifact Shredder can do and traces the next one to Brazil. There's also a brief cameo of Carmelo Anthony of the NBA, meeting with Vern, also known as the Falcon, from the events of the last movie. Funny, he doesn't look like Anthony Mackie wearing metal wings. Elsewhere, Raph and Mikey were up Vern searching NYPD HQ for leads, but that doesn't go well. As Leo chastises Raph, Vincent questions April and Casey. Turtles go to Brazil to intercept people in Rocksteady. Back in New York, April's escape has been edited by TCRI. Sometimes it takes a while to upload something to a 95% processing error, and other times the audio just cuts out. Bebop and Rocksteady find the last piece of the device they need and Toast will stop them for her that. I do kind of find it weird how Raph is acrophobic after the beginning of the movie, prompting him to ask what Vin Diesel do. He'd probably drive a souped up race car out of the plane for starters. The Turtles dive onto the plane, fighting with Bebop and Rocksteady, nearly avoiding death while the plane is destroyed and crashes into a waterfall. Heading back to New York, the device is similar to the Technodrome is brought into New York. You can tell because it's a big beacon of light. Seriously. Suicide Squad, Ghostbusters reboot, and this movie. Toy 16 are more obsessed with beacons of light than usual. Since the Turtles are only the ones can survive on the Technodrome, they only decide against turning human with the mutagen as they go to face Krang. Elsewhere, police help the Turtles as April and Casey go to T-Strike after being freed by Vern. On top of Casey, I'm also dismayed that this movie nerfed Karai as well, especially since the actress abandoned the character and got taken out by April hitting with the computer. That's a shame. As Shredder is frozen like a trophy, the Turtles leap atop the Technodrome to confront Krang. I must say, I'm glad we have the technology to do this on film, like 1987 showing a $135 million budget. Long story short, Krang and Technodrome are sent packing, and the Turtles are recognized the heroes they are. Then close regular remix of the original theme song, still in my head to this day. May not be my favorite arrangement, but it's on the list. While this movie opened number 1, it ultimately only made about half of the previous film, making back only $82 million on a $235 million budget. They did a better worldwide $245 million, and it performed well on home media. Regardless, the proposed third film is now being made to a reboot instead, so I have 3 suggestions how to approach it. 1. I definitely would object to Alyssa's more visual style, CG taking a backseat to practical special effects. 2. On that note, a simple plot is also fine. We're just focused on mainly the Turtles, balancing their selves as well as New York, much like Holland's Spider-Man movies. 3. I know this last one may be unpopular, but no April or Shredder. At least not right away. I mean, April's been in all the movies regardless of how much she actually did for the story, and Shredder was actually, he killed off in the beginning of the comic and was only brought to a fan demand. And he's been a villain in, or someone like him, in 5 of the 6 movies. April also went into way later in the comic. Could have them both come in later, save Shredder for a sequel, like how Batman Begins saved the joke for the Dark Knight. Hey, as for other villains you could use, like Triceratons, you could use the Purple Dragons gang, you could use the Utroms, the list goes on and on. As for this movie, much like the 2014 film, it may be a mix of TMNT goofiness and producer Michael Bay's excess, but I had a lot of fun with it as a whole. It may have been the same level as Dark Knight, Marvel Cinematic Universe, or Deadpool, but still fun ways to spend 112 minutes with pieces of guzzling, pop culture lampooning Turtles. By rating 3 stars out of 4. Next time, my Valentine review for this channel for the 3rd anniversary of the series, Turtles Forever, Total Power.